Hello, everyone. Thank you for checking out today's episode of Hardball Sports Talk, brought to you by Hardball Sports Media. My name is Brandon. I hope you guys had a great Christmas, and I am joined, like always, by my friend Alex. Alex, how was your Christmas?
Ahoy, Brandon. It was long and
Yep,
Christmassy, if you know what I mean. Kind of like
yep,
talked about earlier.
yep. We love being with our families, but at the same time, families can be exhausting. I'm sure every person can relate to that.
Yep.
So we did enjoy our times with our family,
Yes.
though, for the most part. So nothing to complain about. Today's episode, we're going to try to keep it on the shorter side since it is already basically 9 o'clock when we're starting recording this one. We're doing this one live, and then I'll update it to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever else you get your podcast. So today we're just going to do a quick recap on Christmas. Being sports guys, we get sports gifts because nobody really knows what to get sports fans, so they just give us cool sports stuff. I got a lot of cool sports stuff here for Christmas. And then after we talk about our Christmas presents, I have all mine sitting right next to me. I'll show you guys. So if you're on the YouTube side of things or watching live, you'll be able to see these. So there's your motivation to go check out the YouTube side of things here. And then after we do that, we have an announcement to make. I gave you guys a post on Facebook about it earlier. If you know me personally, my announcement for the podcast has nothing to do with my personal life announcement that was made today. I'm not going to go into details about that,
I didn't,
but
I didn't
they
even
are
think
not
about
connected at all.
I didn't even think about that, but
No,
yeah.
I thought about that too, and I'm like, I bet you a lot of people that are liking this are family. They're who know a little bit what's going on. I'm like, I bet you they're thinking it's that.
Yeah.
It
This
has
is on
nothing to do
the
with my personal life. So, and then finally today, our topic that we want to cover is Babe Ruth, henceforth the hat, and also the Sandlot jersey behind me.
who's this
Uh,
baby Ruth you're talking
yeah,
about?
Baby Ruth. He was this okay baseball player back in the day. But Shohei signing his big contract a couple weeks ago, it got me thinking, what made Babe Ruth so famous even today, where people like my wife who don't follow sports know who he is, and is there anybody in sports today or in recent history that can compare to that? And that's also why I have my Michael Jordan Space Jam jersey up, because that's an given answer. But I'm not saying Michael Jordan's a right answer for this one just because recent history. Michael Jordan hasn't played in probably 20 years or so now. So even Kobe would be stretching it in my books for recent history. But there's another name to talk about. But anyways, without further ado, let's get started. So do you want to go first with Christmas, or do you want me to go first? I have all my
Oh,
stuff
you
here.
can
I know
go
you
first.
don't have anything, but
Yeah.
so who's going
I'll
first?
let you go. Yeah,
I'll go
you can
first.
go.
All right. So I got some cool stuff here. I got this hoodie from the Detroit Vipers. So if you're not familiar with the Detroit Vipers, they were a minor league hockey team in the Detroit area, and from '94 to 2001, they were part of the Tampa Bay Lightning system. I'm not exactly sure entirely what level of hockey it was, but it was affiliated hockey. I have vague memories of watching them on TV as a kid. I don't know why they were on TV, but I just remember them on TV up here. So I saw that online. I added to my list, and my in-laws got that for me. So that's pretty exciting. Next, so if you haven't noticed, I think I've recorded behind this before, but I have a wall of hats. I probably have. I'm not even joking. There's 60 to 70 hats. And so my brother-in-law got me this hat. It is the Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp. They are the AAA affiliates of the Tampa Bay Rays, I believe it was. So that's pretty cool. I love random teams. If you couldn't tell that by now. Next, this will be going up on the wall. The room I'm recording in will get moved here shortly. So whenever we get things switched around, but this will be going on the wall behind me.
Beautiful.
Yep. So if you're listening to this one, it's a poster that says "You're Killing Me, Smalls" from The Sandlot. It's got Ham from The Sandlot on here. One of the best sports movies you'll ever find, and that'll definitely be high on both of our lists when we get to the movie rankings. A few
Oh,
more things
for
here.
sure.
This isn't necessarily sports per se, but it's still pretty cool sportsy. I got a dartboard.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, and it's a real one too. So I have to build a cabinet of some sort or buy a cabinet for this because I'm renting from in-laws, and I'm sure they would not appreciate a bunch of holes in their wall.
Eh, it's easy to patch stuff.
But it's
Whatever.
from them, so
Well, then that's their
yeah,
own fault if you
it's
ask
their
me.
fault. Yeah. And then two more quick things here. I got this hat. It's got a duck on it. Ducks on the pond is the joke. It's a baseball term for base runners. On the inside, there are ducks.
That's sweet.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. This one's from Baseballism. So is this hat I'm wearing. It's my new favorite hat place. So if you ever want to get me a gift, go to baseballism.com. Not a sponsor, but hey, if you want to sponsor me, Baseballism, I'm your guy.
Yes.
And then finally, I call this my Stratomatic hat. If you're not entirely sure what Stratomatic is, it is a baseball board game. I've compared it to Dungeons and Dragons for baseball people.
Mm-hmm. I
That's
can see that.
basically what it is. So it's this hat. Underneath on the brim, it's got the scorecard. And then there's a little, you can't really see it, but there's a little pouch right here that you can put your pencil in.
Okay.
So I thought it was kind of fun, and I have a friend where him and I pick each other out a hat for Christmas every year, and that's what we get for Christmas that year. So that's the hat I picked out from him. So did you get anything fun?
I excuse me. I did. I actually wish I had some of it now. My lovely wife got me a nice background flag that eventually I'll be hanging up once I figure out how I want to arrange this room.
Nice.
For the podcast. She also got me something that it won't help me, but it'll be fun. A backyard like chipping um like game that you can do. And like
Nice.
it's like a mini driving range. There's like different point systems you could do, so it'd help with the accuracy. Um and then my father-in-law got me a gift card to three local golf courses that are all kind of like tied into one, owned by the same company, I guess you can say. But basically free rounds.
Nice.
So those were my sports related
Those aren't
stuff.
bad at all.
No. Oh, and I did forget because I'll probably get yelled at. My wife did give me a lovely Michigan sweatshirt. So thank
Hey,
you,
can't beat
wifey.
that.
Or as I like to call her, the roommate. So
The roommate. So I live in in the northern part of Michigan, and this is probably the first time in my lifetime, I am 32 now, that we have no ounce of snow on the ground right now. There is no snow whatsoever up here right now.
that's
Uh,
impressive.
yeah. And my in laws live close to the local golf course here. And when we went there on Christmas Day, I said to my wife, I go, I'm bringing my clubs in. Like, I'm going golfing on Christmas Day. No, I
Why
didn't
wouldn't
because the golf course is closed and I'd probably get in trouble for doing that. But
you?
I did think about walking around the course though, or by the road on the course. You know where this course is at, and
Yeah.
see if I can find any of my old golf balls. I
I'm
didn't
sure
do
there's
that, but
plenty.
yeah, last spring we went for a walk, and I probably found like 10 to 15 golf balls there.
Nice.
So, but what that's all we got. Well, that's not all we got for Christmas, but that's our sports related things we got for Christmas this year. Again, I hope you guys had a great Christmas. Obviously, it's not about the gifts, but the gifts are a fun part of Christmas. But like I said, I want to keep today's episode short, so we're going to move on here. So like I said earlier today, I had a announcement on Facebook I posted. I didn't announce it on Facebook. I guess I said, hey, tune into the episode tonight. So there's a podcast out there called Rounders. And it's hosted by this gentleman who I believe his name is Jeff. I could be wrong on that, but I believe his name is Jeff. And he does the history of baseball. I have listened to this podcast for probably a year now, and if you like baseball and you like baseball history, this is the podcast for you. So I reached out to this podcast and I said, hey, you guys want to do something with us? And he said yes. So I wasn't actually going to say anything about this because we just started messaging in the last week, and with it being Christmas and New Year's, I'm like, hey, let's just wait till after New Year's and we'll figure something out and figure out a topic. So basically, all we know is there's mutual interest to do a podcast together, and I was just going to leave it at that. But he had his own show today. Here's his podcast right there. I'm also putting the link for that in the description, so be sure to go check him out. He has these series called Autopsies, where he looks at why a baseball team like moved or failed or whatever. It's really interesting, especially now with Oakland moving. The athletics organization has moved multiple times, and he has a series about that. It's really interesting stuff. He had an episode came out in the last couple days, and it was about bad trades in the winter meetings. And in this episode, in his opening, he mentioned us and said, "Hey, we're going to work out something with Hardball Sports." And again, I wasn't going to announce anything, but once he did, I'm like, "Well, I should too. Do the favor back." So if you guys are interested in baseball or history of baseball, go check out Rounders. It's a great show. And even if you're not into that, please just show some support. Like him on Facebook. It's links for that's in his show notes. Like him on Facebook, Instagram, all that. Let's grow a big community for both of us here. And hopefully here in the near future, we can work something out to get all of us on the same show at the same time. Again, we don't have any of the details figured out, so I don't even want to do any teasers on what we're going to do, anything like that. It's literally mutual interest on let's do something together. So exciting times, and there's other people I'm going to try to reach out to for guests or podcasts or whatever. So hopefully we'll be able to get more guests on for you guys and help this grow. And one thing that I think will also help this grow is just do fun stories. And I think it's a great time to also announce a partnership or a collaboration with a history of baseball podcast when we're talking about Babe Ruth. Because Babe Ruth is not even arguably, he is the most famous baseball player of all time. And you get people like my wife, like I said, who I go up to her and I say, hey, who's Babe Ruth? And she'll say, oh, he was a baseball player. If I go up to her and I say, hey, who's Joe Namath? I don't think she's going to be able to tell me who Joe Namath was, or Ty Cobb, or possibly Wayne Gretzky. I think Wayne Gretzky would be the only hockey player that could be in this discussion. But the thought was more modern players. So out of more modern players, who is going to be players or player or athlete that we remember in 100 years? So when I was thinking about this topic, and again, this started up when Shohei signed his contract for like $700 million, I think it was. The reason why I thought of it then is because Shohei Ohtani is doing things we haven't seen in baseball since Babe Ruth, being a two-way player and a high-level two-way player at that.
Yes. Yeah, high level. That's the key word.
Yeah. Babe Ruth is in the Hall of Fame as a hitter. But actually, I have the Hall of Fame version of Stratomatic. We talked about that a minute ago. He's got a pitching card in that Hall of Fame version that's actually not bad either. So what I'm basically getting at is what made Babe Ruth so special and famous that we're remembering him 100 years later? And is there any athlete in modern history, meaning played recently? And when I say recently, I mean I don't even think Kobe Bryant is eligible for my list because I think Kobe Bryant, you could make an argument for Kobe Bryant. And part of that, though, could also be his untimely death. I get that. But Kobe Bryant, I think people are going to remember him in a long time.
Yeah.
But
I think he would be up there.
yeah,
Mostly because of his overseas connection, and everyone worldwide knows who Kobe Bryant was. his dad played over there, but even then, back when he was playing in the NBA, if you were to go over to overseas somewhere and you talk about Kobe Bryant, everyone would know who you were talking about.
Yep. That's the one thing about basketball is basketball has tried really to grow the game overseas.
Mm-hmm.
You got a lot of Europeans coming over and playing, and then they've. I think it's cooled down a lot the last couple of years because of politics, but they were trying to make a big footprint in China,
Yeah.
because that's where the majority of the population of the world is. But again,
Right.
that's cooled down because of politics and the heat off that.
Mm-hmm.
But really, uh, who did you? I'll ask you, who did you think of for people? And I don't know his answer, by the way, the guys. So this is me asking for the first time. I wanted this to be a live reaction. So who? One, how many people did you have? And two, who do you have, if anybody?
Um, I have three. One of them is recency bias, so I guess I would have two, maybe one, because I'm a nerd with one of the sports. Um, you want me to tell you who?
Yeah.
Okay, so you want me to tell you who the most recency bias is?
Yes, you can tell me all three of them and why or why not they made the
Okay.
cut.
The only reason I'm throwing this name out there, and I do not like it, it's going to be Travis Kelsey
Really? Oh, yep,
because of who
yep,
he's dating. He's just, I get yelled at this by my wife, who is a hardcore Swiftie. He's just going to be another name for her,
yep,
right? Yeah, I
yeah,
guess I said that right. Everyone's gonna know who he is because of who he was dating at the time. There'll be a song eventually because that's what she does as an artist is write songs. Am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong.
Okay. Well, I'm just saying. And I know we said we'd never talk about it, but
No, but
when
this is
you
a
asked me the
different.
question,
Yeah, this is different. So we do have a no Taylor Swift policy on this show, but when you're talking about famous people, what
yeah,
and why they're going to be famous down the road, that is not a bad answer because she's the most polarizing person on the planet right now.
yes, yeah,
So
um,
it's a legitimate argument there.
yeah. My number two, and it's tough because I could put three of them as my number two, if that makes sense. But I was gonna go with one of my favorite players I've ever watched was Roger Federer as a tennis star.
Yep,
Um, just what he's done, and you can throw Nadal and the Djokovic in there because they all were huge in the early 2000s. Later on, they were all fighting, winning, meeting each other in the finals every single year in all the tournaments that they had. Um, but I think Roger Federer is probably more the famous one. Um, he's famous because Nike, well, before he changed, Nike had his imprint on him with the Nike swoosh, with all the white shoes, white everything. So he was one of them that I thought of that would be it's going to be remembered. And my main one is Tiger Woods.
yep,
When you have a professional sport having to change how they design the course because of one guy who they literally call it tiger proofing the course because Tiger Woods make it look so easy. He was setting these records. He was winning. I think he's going to be remembered for a long time.
yeah. So I actually have one of those on my list. And that's they're my number one person. So I will start. I don't really have a number per se of how many I have, but I'll just say names that came to my head when I was working on this podcast. So one name that I thought of was Tom Brady. And the reason I thought of Tom Brady was I was trying to think of again what made Babe Ruth so famous. And it's to me, it was he was the best player in the most popular sport at his time, and he was the most dominant player with a lot of records that were not touched for what, like I think Roger Maris in the 60s beat his single season record, and
Yeah.
then his career record held on until was it Bonds that passed him, or was somebody
Mm,
else? No, Hank Aaron.
yeah.
Hank Aaron
Hey,
passed him first. Yeah,
yeah.
I'm sorry about that.
The actual home run king, but that's another story.
Yep, that's a totally different story. Maybe we'll talk about that someday. But so my first one would be Tom Brady, just because right now, and I understand Tom Brady just retired, but it's still recency.
Mhm.
Um, right now, football is by far the most popular sport in America.
Oh, there's no question.
But yeah, there's no question on that one. So you're dominating the most popular sport. You have, what is it, like 6 or 7 Lombardi trophies, which is the trophy going to the Super Bowl winner. So you're dominating at a level that we've never seen before, and with the parity of sports nowadays, I don't know if you'll ever see that dominance again.
I
I
don't
mean,
think you will. Not in
I mean
football.
the one chance that we had was the Chiefs, and just look at the season for the Chiefs. Like, do you really think the Chiefs this year are a Super Bowl team? I don't see a. I mean, I keep picking them because at some point they got to get it going, but it's week 17 now. They haven't gotten it going.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the one team that I thought could possibly compete with the Patriots of those days was the Chiefs, and we're just seeing that it's not sustainable. Now, I'm not saying the Chiefs are a bad team, like, or anything like that,
Mm.
but they just don't look like the dominating team that the Patriots were for all those years. So what Bill Belichick and Tom Brady and company was able to do, I don't think you'll ever see that again. And that was one of the things with Babe Ruth was we didn't see a home run, uh, his single season record be broken until again Roger Maris did it in the 60s, and then his career record by Hank Aaron. So that's why I went with Tom Brady, just because of the record side of it.
Yeah.
And then another name, as much as I don't like him, LeBron.
Yeah, I
Um,
was gonna throw him in there too.
and the only reason is because again, there's the debate of the great who's the greatest of the sport, and the debate will go on forever between
It's
Michael Jordan and LeBron
yeah,
James.
it's never gonna end.
It'll never end, and that's why in 100 years, when people are asking who's the greatest basketball player of all time, I would be shocked if those two names are still not in the conversation.
Right.
Um, so that's basically why I went with LeBron. And also another thing with Babe Ruth was he. Now, granted, I understand the media wasn't as big as it is now. Now, the newspapers and radios was the media of the day, so I understand that. But LeBron's in Space Jam movies. He's in Taco Bell commercials, I think. I mean, he's all over the place. Babe Ruth back in the day, he was also in movies. He was in a movie called Pride of the Yankees, which was about Lou Gehrig's life. It's an older movie, but if you have a chance to check that out, I highly suggest it. I probably have it in my top 50 movies for sports. A little teaser there for you guys. So I'd put LeBron on this list just because of his impact of society and whatnot. And again, I'm not a LeBron fan or anything like that, but you just can't argue what the impact he's made in society and on the basketball court. Um, I don't necessarily agree with you on the Federer. I
Yeah.
think I think globally, like, I stayed away from soccer and tennis, sports like that, because globally, like over in Europe, yeah, those are big sports. But here in America, I mean, I'm not saying there's no soccer or tennis fans over here, because obviously I know you like tennis,
Yeah.
but just it's not like an impact sport. So you have to be somebody like really, really special, like we've never seen before, to be. And I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying I don't agree with you, and because
No, that's fine. Yeah.
yeah,
No one
Federer
said
and
you had to
Nadal,
agree with me.
they had a great rivalry that you're a casual sports fan, you could just turn on ESPN, you're going to see it. So you know these names just because you turn on ESPN. So I think the casual sports fan will know about them for a while, but
Yeah.
I don't think the everyday person
Right.
will. And that was kind of the thought here. A couple other names that I kind of thought. Um, I don't really see anybody in hockey. Like I said, the only one in really history of hockey would be Wayne Gretzky,
Yeah. Yeah, I don't
and
think anyone's gonna touch
I don't
him.
think any no, and hockey's not big enough in anywhere but Canada really for anybody to ever get any global recognition. Basketball, like I said, you got LeBron. Baseball, I think Shohei, just because I mean he's doing things we haven't seen since Babe Ruth.
Mhm.
What Shohei needs to do though is he needs to win with the Dodgers.
Yeah.
If the Dodgers and Shohei don't win a couple of rings during this, that's going to be a huge stain on his legacy. Fair or not fair, that's just reality. So in order to cement his legacy, I think he needs to win at least one, actually probably 2 to 3, but one for sure. With the
I
Dodgers
think he
during,
needs 2. I don't think
yeah.
one's gonna cut it.
I mean, yeah, but all those years with the Angels, like one's better than nothing.
That's fair.
Um, Speaking of the Angels, if Mike Trout stayed healthy, I think we'd be having conversations with him. But unfortunately, he just hasn't been able to stay healthy in his career. And another thing that goes against Mike Trout, it's not as bad as it used to because, again, media is so relevant now with social media and whatnot. But playing in the West Coast hurts you just
Yeah.
because not everyone, your game started at 10 o'clock basically for the East Coast people. So they're getting ready to go to bed. They're not wanting to stay up, watch a baseball game or any sport for that matter that late. So being on the West Coast will hurt you on these debates. And then I'm not saying that this individual will be at that level. Okay. But with this social media thing, there are people so after the draft last year, I'm not going to say the name until I finish the story here. But after this person was drafted by my favorite team, I went on their social media and on Instagram and I followed them. And I had friends on social media that follow this individual that don't follow sports at all, following this guy. And I go, how the heck are they following this guy? Like, I don't get this at all. So the person I am talking about is the Detroit Tigers first round pick, Max Clark. I'm not saying Max Clark will be remembered in 100 years. That's not what I'm saying at all. What I'm saying is, I think it's going to be easier for people to remember just because of the social media on how people like Max Clark, who was drafted, what the Tigers had the third or fourth pick, something like that in this
Yeah, I
past
think it was the
draft.
4th. Yeah.
That now, granted, I don't follow the baseball draft super closely, but that wasn't a name I was super familiar with. And then there's people who I'm friends with that don't follow the lick of baseball are following this guy on Instagram. So I think with Instagram and Facebook and YouTube and all that, I think it'll be easier for someone to be more famous. Um, Now I don't know how sustainable any of that will be, but that also just shows you the greatness of Babe Ruth too, though. That he didn't have ESPN following him around because ESPN didn't exist then. I mean,
Right.
back then they had TV, but not really. It was mainly radio and print, is what was following him around, and it makes the legend of Babe Ruth that much greater. But anyways, moving along here, the one person that we agreed on is Tiger Woods, and the reason I was thinking Tiger Woods is so when you're playing backyard baseball with your friends, what do you always do? You always point your shot because that's the legend of Babe Ruth. He always pointed a shot. So when you're out golfing with your friends and whatever, and it's gonna carry down tradition to tradition because that's what happens. Our kids want to be like our dads or their dads or whatever. You have a nice putt and you say, "Man, I putt just like Tiger."
Oh, I thought you were
Or
going the opposite way and talking about drive like Happy Gilmore.
I mean that too, but Happy Gilmore's fictional. We can show our kids Happy Gilmore movie, but I mean,
But yeah.
that's another one though too. Would be Happy Gilmore, but again, Happy Gilmore's fake. So, but I mean, if you have a good, nice shot in golf, you're like, man, I'm just like Tiger, and
Mhm. Everyone
so
yes, everyone says that.
that's that's kind of why I'm thinking Tiger Woods, just because you're gonna be saying that, and if you take Junior out golfing, Junior's gonna be saying the same thing right behind you. Junior grows up in 20, 30 years, has his own kid. He'll say that, assuming because kids are creatures, people are creatures of habits, and they're gonna do
Mhm.
what their parents did, and so I think Tiger Woods is probably the best answer, just because a lot of people golf, and Tiger Woods, like you said, they changed golf courses for the guy.
Yeah.
Like that's how dominant he was. And that's another thing there. Babe Ruth was the most dominant person in his sport during his
Mhm.
stretch. Tiger Woods was. The only difference is golf in the late 80s, early 90s, and 2000s when Tiger Woods was coming on the scene. Golf was not the most popular sport in the
That was
country.
another reason I was gonna bring up is the impact that Tiger made
Yeah.
for everyone to want to go and watch golf
Yeah.
and play it.
Yep. So I think Tiger Woods is the best answer to this question. Um, and I did ask it on the Facebook page. I put up a poll, and I thought I had it so you guys could add uh, ones too, but apparently it didn't set up like that. So I'm sorry about that.
Oh,
Next time
man.
we do a poll, I will try to set it up like that. I did on the phone. Maybe I'll try to do it on the computer next time and see if I can do it better on that. But that is what we have for you guys today. I said we were going to try to be shorter, and here we are at a half hour. So we don't know what the
Eh,
word short means. I'm sorry, guys.
it's alright.
Um, and actually, to be honest with you, to keep this one short, we didn't do any, like, we did research and stuff like that, but we did with Christmas and family and stuff like that. We just weren't able to put the time in on this one. So we're like, this one will be shorter. So, and here we are, half hour later.
How about that?
Thank you. Thank you guys so much for checking out today's episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Again, look up Rounders, the podcast, History of Baseball. Links for them on their Spotify is in the description. If you love baseball, love the history of baseball, this is the show for you guys. And then look for in the future that hopefully we'll do a collab with them. Again, we haven't worked out any details. Once we get stuff figured out, we'll share it along with you guys. Uh, go show support to them. It'd be greatly appreciated so we can get something going here. So, and then we'll be back tomorrow for our week 17 NFL picks because next week, well, Thursday actually is the start of the week. The NFL season is wrapping up. Our Detroit Lions are going to the playoffs, won the NFC North for the first time in 30 years. We'll talk about that more tomorrow. We're both
Yeah.
pretty excited, though, about that. Thank you guys so much for checking out today's episode. I hope you guys liked it. Shoot us a message on Facebook or Instagram if you have any questions or comments or anything you want us to cover. Thank you guys so much, and have a great day.